Welcome to
Bone to Bone, Marriage of the Heart.
Sponsored by Nichols Knight Production. We are your hosts. I am Katina Robinson.
And I'm Ronnie Robinson, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 12 at the Den. Welcome home.
And speaking of home, thank you so much for allowing us to come into your home, whether you're watching us via Facebook right now or whether you're going to watch the replay. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you will not regret it because tonight is going to be off the chain.
Yes.
So we want to tell you a little bit about what Bone to Bone Marriage of the Heart is, and it comes from Genesis 2:23 and 24.
23 says, "And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." Verse 24, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh."
And I so enjoy being your flesh, baby, and your bone to bone.
You my Valentine.
Yes, always, every day and all day. And the second half of Bone to Bone Marriage of the Heart comes from Matthew 6:21, which says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." And we always talk about the things that we treasure. We take super duper great care of it. We pamper it. We love on it. We do everything we need to do to take care of our treasures.
Yes, indeed.
So we always want to have each other's heart.
You got to go. Hey, listen, this is my treasure. When I go in my treasure box, I want to sharpen that iron. I want to make sure she's shining. So I want to take the best care of my treasure. And
Yes,
baby, you are
do,
my
baby.
treasure.
Thank you, and you do it well.
Ooh, thank
Bone
you.
to Bone Marriage of the Heart purpose is to encourage couples to remember love is worth fighting for. All right, so I know you guys have seen the topic on tonight, and that is a love that is standing the test of time. Yes. So we're going to introduce our special guest on tonight, and then we're going to dive right on into that topic.
Amen.
Our special guest tonight is Mr. Byron and Miss Phyllis Hodges.
Hey,
we are so excited to have them.
Yes.
They have been happily married starting in 1974.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I often tease them is that I was just about to turn one. So y'all do the math.
That's my baby right there.
Phyllis was 16 years old and Byron was 22 years of age.
Wow. Mature young man.
Byron and Phyllis are the parents of 2 adult children and grandparents of 2 young adults and 1 teen. Life has been so good to them. Spiritually, they have grown very close together. Professionally, they own the only faith-based wellness center in the state of Arkansas.
Wow.
Which is called Carousel Fit for Life Wellness Center.
Yes.
Mentally, they find themselves ministering to couples and others. Physically, they keep loving, and keeping their land beautiful. A movie is in the process of being made of their lives.
Wow.
Oh, congratulations.
Hallelujah. I give you a hand.
And
Woo.
And their love story paperback book is about to hit the stands, and
Wow.
it's called I Met a Man. So
Wow.
welcome audience, welcome
Yes.
our guests, Mr.
Yes.
and Mrs. Hodges. We are
Yes.
so glad to have y'all.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey.
So we're going to talk about a love that is standing the test of time. So
Wow.
our first topic of discussion is, what does love have to do with it?
Okay, well, let's start, Mr. Byron. Let's start with you first, because you're the head of the household. You know, we understand our position in this thing, that we know Christ must be first to be the head of our household. So you just dive right on in there.
You're absolutely right on that. You have to have a foundation, and
Yes.
it takes that to have it. But when you're a young couple out there, you don't think about that right off the bat.
He going in.
Yeah, you
Come
think
on.
about the infatuation part. I have found the right person.
Yeah, you thought about
Yeah,
that, didn't you?
I sure did. And then
Okay.
as time goes on and you begin to meet the challenges of life, that's when you really know that you found the right person, because it takes a lot of effort to sit down and talk to
Listen
somebody.
up out there, audience.
To talk to somebody when you're in trouble or you've made mistakes. There's nothing that can't be worked out if you sit down and you talk about it.
Wow.
And the first person you need to have in your life to have that trust is Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Because then you know
Amen.
it's going to be
Yes.
worked out.
Amen.
To all those people who think that there's nothing that cannot be worked out, you're absolutely wrong.
All right. All right.
Wow. Wow.
There is nothing that cannot be said, and nothing that cannot be changed, and nothing that cannot be overlooked once you have Christ in your heart. And if all it takes is a person to say, I've made a mistake.
All right.
I need your help. And then that's what marriage is all about. It's built on that foundation.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And if I sit here and I take this whole mic and talk all night long, no one will get a word in.
Baby, can I talk?
Yes, I'm gonna let you talk, and I'm gonna drop that note right now.
All right. Go ahead. Let
All right.
Phyllis talk. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Go ahead, Phyllis. Get in there. Get in there.
All my friends, thank you all for inviting hubby and I.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We were glad to do
Oh,
so.
Yes,
Can I
yes.
say, yesterday, the 14th, was our official 44th anniversary.
Wow.
Can you believe it, baby?
44.
That was a
Sit on
long
the back
time
porch.
ago, honey.
I sat on the back porch, and I just happened to realize that it's been 44 years, and it's gone by so fast. And
And look at us.
Oh, look at
You better keep some joy in there.
Yes.
You better
Yes.
learn to laugh. You better
Definitely.
learn to hug and
Yes.
snug and love.
Yes, yes.
That's part of it, because there will be times the tears will come.
yes.
There will be time that the weight will come on.
Mm-hmm.
There will be time that you're trying to figure out who is going to find the money to pay the bills.
Uh-huh.
There will be time that hubby wants sex, and you've been working all day,
Come
and
on.
you're tired, and you just don't
Wow.
want to. You just don't want it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what does love have to do with it? Everything. I love you, honey.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes.
So
yes.
on that note, we're going to ask you guys to go ahead and share the video, because
Yes.
y'all see it's getting good. It's
Yes.
getting good. It's getting real. It's getting real good. So go ahead and share the video and invite your friends,
Yes.
invite your loved ones, invite anyone that can learn from this. And that's everybody. So go ahead and invite everybody.
Remember, this is 44 years
44
of love,
years.
and this is what America needs to get back on. Get back to the cornerstone of what
Yes.
love is all about. And this couple tonight have really been exquisitely brilliant on keeping things in love and what it's all about. And
Yes.
so I recommend that you listen to this tonight and share this video, like my wife said.
Yes, and we want to say hello to Miss Wilson, Miss Henderson, Miss Washington.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Darvis. We just want to give a shout out to Mama Michelle. Yes, we want to
Yes.
make sure we acknowledge everybody that's watching. If you're watching, go ahead and say something. That way we know you're there. But
Yes.
you want
thumbs
to
up,
definitely
hearts, or whatever it may be.
listen at every word of what's going to be talked about tonight.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about what does love have to do with it.
Yes.
Now let's talk about longevity of a marriage. How do you make it happen?
Oh my.
I'm going to answer that.
Okay.
And then I'll chime in, okay, baby?
Probably.
Is it okay?
I have found that the longevity of it is once you're out in life and you mingle with a lot of people and you get in different atmospheres and you think that you're going to drift away from your mate, or you get in situations that could cause you to have harm, you have to keep a thought in your mind. Am I going to throw away my blessings?
That's good.
That's how I maintain and try to keep myself in alignment. And I've learned that over years. And I am not a person that has not made mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes, and I've had to ask Jesus Christ to forgive me, and he always does. That's the person I know. He will forgive me for everything that happens to me. But I have to keep it in my frame. If I do something that's out of the norm of my vows, I'm throwing away not only my blessings, my family's blessings, and everything that was bestowed on me.
Yes.
So I have to keep that in my train of thought. And I hope I've helped somebody out there, because I feel like somebody needed to hear that.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Phyllis?
Amen.
I think about longevity. It was a long time ago if you're just counting the numbers. But then again, you look at it, oh my, it was not too long ago.
Yesterday.
Yeah. 16 and 22. My God.
And I think back, you say 16 and 22, I think back about the things I used to be able to do and think about the situation I'm in now. You can get kind of frustrated as you get older. But what happens to you, you grow in grace.
That's right, baby.
Wow. That's
And
good.
what
You
I
used to run me around the room. Honey, you don't do that anymore.
don't.
Let me get up. You want to run around this table.
Oh, I don't want to.
Let's stay focused. Let's stay focused. Y'all, we're trying to keep it G-rated over here. But, when you got a ring on it, hey, you do what you do.
Yes.
But it's a blessing to hear them talking about the longevity of a marriage, because what a marriage is a seed. And when you get married, when you say I do, when you put the ring on it, it's a seed. And it's up to you to do with what that seed. I know you guys love to work in your yards and plant fruits and plants and flowers and all of that good stuff in your yard. And so that's what makes that come to mind, is that a marriage is a seed. And if you don't water it, if you don't give it the sunlight, the love, the attention, then your seed will die. Simple as that. But if you do the things you need to do to make that seed be fruitful, then you have branches, you have branches, you have branches, you have branches, you have branches. So that's what we want to do in marriage, is make them branches come out. And like we shared in your bio, you guys have a fitness center, the only one in Arkansas. Faith-based wellness center, and so that's a branch. That's a branch where you have the opportunity to minister and do what God has called you to do, even in that. So you guys' branches are sticking out and it's shining brightly.
Exactly. And not just the carousel. When we are walking hand to hand and you see us, we don't look alike. Again, we are male and female. Again, you look at our race, and then you talk to us and you find out we have so much in common, all type of seeds, but we minister to each other on a regular basis. And I'm so grateful, because my husband, he does not allow me to leave the house without praying for me. Matter of fact, I left the carousel a few minutes ago, and we got in the car. And I'm so busy looking at the phone trying to do what I do. And I said, honey, we haven't prayed. And he grabbed my hand and he took over. He just did what he do.
That's it.
And young ladies and guys, don't let each other leave that house without praying for each other. Matter of fact, all of this started, honey, we were fasting. I think we fasted. We did a 60-day fast, and that was something that God wanted us to do, because we never started out doing that. But times bring about a change.
Yes.
I'll say this. There's couples out there that are saying right now, I can't do that. When I'm mad at him, I don't want to talk to him. You have to learn to put those things aside, because do you know if you're going to see him in the next 10 or 15 minutes again? Anything
that's
can
a good
happen
point.
at any time, any moment.
And remember, guys, he's talking about us now. But when I was 16, did I want to hear all of that? I wasn't hearing it.
I can only imagine. I've known her a long time. I can only imagine.
I asked myself the other day, we used to talk on the phone for 4 or 5 hours at a time.
We did.
I mean, her mother would come in and I could hear her mother, you need to get off that phone.
Right.
And I asked myself, what did we talk about?
Honey, we don't do it anymore like that.
Oh, because you're with me.
And look, and we're talking about a love that is standing the test of time, and that's kind of the reason I chose that topic for you guys, is because y'all defeated the odds. Like you said, looking at y'all, you were 16, he was 22. That's odd, and then look at y'all race. You're black, he's white.
I want to
That's
comment.
odd.
I want to comment.
Yes, sir.
After all this time, no matter what we've gone through, I never really looked at a race issue with her. I never thought about it with the people I was around. This was a person, when you love somebody, all that evaporates and fades away. And I never ran up an issue in my whole life that somebody said anything about my relationship with my wife. No one ever did. And because I was the type person that they already knew I was what I am. I'm my true self.
Yeah.
I'll take over.
But that's you
That's
guys.
being
Y'all didn't
transparent.
see
Yeah.
that
Being
because of the
transparent.
love y'all had. But the people standing out looking in, they had their judgment going on.
Exactly, because people every day they will make statements. I can only imagine what you all have been through. Tell us, because we hadn't been through
I haven't
it.
seen it because the Lord has blessed me not to be touched by it.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
That's it. That's good.
That stigmatism is something that man has made.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not
That is
something
good.
that God blesses or anything. That is what I would say. That is the devil trying to clutch at other people. And I pray for people like that. I pray all the time. And sometimes I may lose my sight, and I see things. I say, you got to hold yourself, because it's not for you to take care of that situation. Somebody greater than you will handle that.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, God will.
Now, I just want to, I've been sitting there quiet, but I want to talk about, get back to longevity and getting back to the point of the era that you two met. And then, like you said, you didn't see that.
I didn't.
But everybody around you could judge you and see all these things go down. But you know what? One thing that I can tell, Byron, that you let Christ order your steps through that whole ordeal. And I truly believe that he numbed you to all that type of situation where you can truly fall in love with your helpmeet. So I'm proud of you. Brother, I am proud of you standing tall in Jesus Christ, to let him know that he is first in your life, to be able to say, look, I don't care what the world say. God said I'm supposed to love this lady, not because what I see on the outside, but what's on the inside of her, which you knew Christ was there. And that's what, the first thing the first thing you knew about her is that Christ was in her first. And that's the greatest thing. You let that flower grow. So I am very proud of you and thanking you to be a strong man in Christ.
Amen.
A
We
strong
got
man
to
in
take a
Christ.
quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you.
Amen.
Welcome back to Bone to Bone, Marriage of the Heart. All right, our topic of tonight is a love that is standing the test of time. And we have our special guest, Mr. Byron and Miss Phyllis Hodges, that has just celebrated yesterday 44 years of marriage. And they're here telling us how you do it. So y'all want to stay tuned in.
Okay, before we went to break, I was letting Byron know, giving him the accolades in which you truly deserve them. But I have a question, though. In the 70s, when you two got married and you had the wedding day, how did that coincide with one another, with your mother being Caucasian and Phyllis being black? So how did that work out? I mean, this is in the 70s now. So
I love it. Can I start, Byron?
Yes.
Can I have it, baby?
You
right
got
now?
it.
Go
I
ahead.
have it.
Go ahead.
Going all the way back, 1974. Can you visualize it?
Mm-hmm.
I was a junior at Hall High School. A little girl. Thought I was real grown. Had my first job at Kentucky Fried Chicken. My God, we need some stock in Kentucky Fried Chicken, baby. Do you remember what happened?
Yeah. I met you.
You met me. You met me. I want you to visualize what took place. I served as a cashier there, and I was taking orders. Now, it was back in the 70s, so it was no computer. It was nothing like that, no technology. I had a pen and a piece of paper. Honey, can you just remember back then? Now, I'm taking this order. Baby, do you remember what it was?
Yeah.
Come on. What it was? It was
5-piece jumbo.
It's a jumbo. 5 pieces of chicken,
And
3 potatoes and gravy.
And your pen ran out.
And my pen ran out.
And I said, I got one here.
You did, baby. Wait,
You
wait,
just
wait,
give
wait.
me your phone number.
Wait, baby, wait a minute. Now, I'm taking...
Details.
Yeah, listen, y'all. He was so romantic. I'm taking his order, and my pen runs out. And this young man, now he was a young man, he was only 22, but he was so debonair. He knew what he wanted. He helped a sister out at that point. What do I mean by that? When the pen ran out, he went and he looked for his, and he gave me his pen, and I'm taking his order now, and I remember it like it was yesterday.
Wow.
And then I looked at him, and he smiled, and he said, when you finish, can you write your number down?
He was slick with it, y'all. He was slick with it, y'all.
Now, just remember, I'm only 16.
Uh-huh.
I'm only 16. I remember it like it was yesterday, and so I'm living at home with my mama now, y'all, with my mama. So
Mama
I
Rose.
put Mama Rose, okay. And so I wrote my phone number, which was my mother's phone number, down. And on the side, I wrote Kentucky Fried Chicken number down. But the number that I wrote my mom, it was very light pen, and Kentucky Fried Chicken's number was very bold. Before he could leave the store good, the phone rang there at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and somebody answered the phone, and they said, Phyllis, girl, I think it's that white guy that just left here. Now my heart is pounding. I'm saying, oh, wee. So I get the phone, hello. And we started to talk, and he said he wanted to come see me. I'm just 16. You can't come see me. Oh, God, I got to call Mama. But I didn't freak. I said, you have to call my mom. He was a gentleman still. He said, well, okay, what's the number? Remember now, I had wrote it on that paper very lightly, and he said, I'll call her. Making this really short, baby. Do you remember what you told my mama?
I told your mother that I was white.
You did. You did, baby, but it wasn't quite like that.
I got a problem.
You told mama that you wanted to come see me, but there was a problem.
Oh, yes.
And mama said there was a problem.
Tell it right.
And he said, yes. She said, well, what's the problem? He said, now, baby, I'm white.
I've got an accent to my voice, and it doesn't sound like I'm white.
So when he told mama he was white, mama said, well, that's your problem.
Exactly. And just think, that Mama Rose was just good about it. She didn't, buck it or say, nah, you can't date my daughter. So, when a love is meant to be, hey, it's going to happen. So Mama didn't even try to stand in the way.
She did not. And then if you hear what I'm saying, I went to my mom. It was mom and my stepfather.
Which very respectful.
Exactly. And he made the phone call like a gentleman. And when she okayed that he could come over, while of course there's chaperones all over the living room, and me and him sitting there, and it's been love ever since.
Wow.
Love ever since.
A love that is standing the test of time. That's what we're talking about tonight. So if you have not shared this video, go ahead and share this video. Go ahead and make your comments, your questions. You got any questions for a marriage that has lasted for 44 years? This is time to ask y'all questions. We're looking to see your questions. I see comments. We want your questions too.
Yes.
But we're going to go on into the next topic of discussion, which is body language, facial expression, and tone of voice. Who going to start this time?
I learned over the years that I can see the right vibes, I can hear the right voice, and I know what to say and what not to say.
All right.
But I also learned that why not let her be the boss? It's not going to hurt me.
All right.
Let her run the show. It's not going to hurt me. And it takes the pressure off of me.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful, and through the time with God speaking to me, telling me to stay in my lane and what I need to do and all of that, I know when to speak and when not to speak, and I honor my husband. I respect my husband. Oh, I love this man, but I am human. And yes, this little thing right here called the mouth.
Oh, honey.
Oh, it'll get you in trouble, ladies. It really will.
Yes.
But when I'm speaking, he is such a gentleman. He just let me flow. He allows me to go.
Yes,
he keep me in prayer, and he'll pull me back in a minute. And he is so loving. He can look at my countenance. He can look at my hair. He can look at my body language and know when I'm tired. And he takes care of me.
Study.
That's it. That's what my husband talk about it every time on the show. It's about studying your spouse. That's how he knows what you're going through. But just looking at you ain't got to open your mouth.
Exactly.
When you connected to the one that God has ordained you to be connected to, we ain't got to open our mouth. Our body language, our actions, our mood tells it all, and they know how to respond. Praise Jesus.
So that's awesome. That's awesome.
I want to add a few things.
Go ahead,
Mr. Byron.
My wife learned over a period of time that if I had done something wrong, I was going to apologize, but I was only going to do it one time.
Okay.
Because at one time I really meant it, and I was not going to be the type of gentleman that would be a begging husband.
Okay. Come on. That's what I'm talking about.
You don't beg.
Y'all better listen up out there.
I'm a strong person, but I let her know if I am wrong about something that I will apologize. And then again, when we get into an argument frame, I also learn to walk away.
He walks away and I pray in tongues.
I walk away because I learned it's better not to say a whole lot when you're angry about something.
Yes,
and that is a proven fact.
Yes.
You can say a lot of things that will hurt a person's feelings, and you don't mean it.
And you can, once it's out there, you can't go back and get it.
And you want to go back, I wish I hadn't said that, and then you say, well, I shouldn't have said it. So I'll reflect on something. Maybe about a week ago something happened, and I wasn't saying anything. She walked into the kitchen and she said, "Are you through with your quiet time? Can we talk about this now?" She knew me enough to know that I needed a little space.
Yes, that's
and
good.
that goes back to knowing your spouse, because that's one of the things my husband had to learn when we first got married. I'm not one that like to argue, and if I say I need a minute, just leave me alone. He know to pull back, because like I told him, it's not a way of getting out of the argument. I know with my mouth, I can say some hurtful things. And so it's better for me, like you said, to walk away and pray and talk to God, say, God, show me, show me where I'm wrong, show me him. And that way we don't put it out in the atmosphere, saying things that we know can hurt each other. And so you have to learn that about your spouse. Know when to shut up and when to argue, when to discuss, or when to, have that discussion. But he had to learn that when I say, look, I can't do this right now, just give me a minute, he pulls back. And so that comes with time.
And I didn't want to now. I want the audience to know Flesh wanted to jump in. Flesh wanted to jump in and say, no, keep it going, keep it going. But see, the bottom line is like my wife said, I studied her enough to back up, and I will get back to it, and it's gonna be all good.
And his thing was he wanted to resolve it. He wanted to go ahead and resolve it and be done with it. And I was like, no, I can't right now, because if we keep talking, this is gonna go somewhere you really don't want it to go. And so it just came to learning each other, and so it worked out in our favor and benefit us when we learned that about each other.
Baby, that's why we bone to bone married to the heart.
It's very hard to establish a point that you're actually going to have to talk about an issue. The other person, sometimes they may not want to face that issue. But as time goes on, then you say, well, I'm not losing anything. I'm gaining. If we sit down and talk about it, we're working it out. And a lot of couples out there right now are faced with issues that husband might be in the next room, they don't even want to talk to him. Well, why not? Well, what's that going to solve? I've been through that, and I found out it didn't solve anything, because eventually you'd have to sit down and work it out.
That's right.
Communication is the key.
Yes, good point.
You talk, I talk. You talk, I listen. You listen. I mean, it's like prayer. Prayer is communication.
It is. And if it's one-sided, it's a problem.
And talk about
one more thing I have to say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The issues I'm talking about sometimes, they're not small issues. I mean, they're dramatic, life-changing issues, and those can still be worked out. You might have been faced with things that, oh, this is going to destroy our marriage. Oh, no, nothing can destroy your marriage if you got Jesus Christ.
You let it. Now, listen, you let it.
You have to stop and think about, well, there's an old phrase out there, but I'm not going to say that old phrase because it's not proper, because I think about it sometimes. I say, I don't want to think that. So I had to tune my mind in and say it in a different way. Why would I want to destroy not only, if I've done something wrong, why would I want to destroy not only my marriage, but the people that depend on me, my children, my grandchildren, all those generations? Why would they want us separated when they depend on us? So that's when you make a sacrifice and you say, well, it's not only about me and her, it's about a whole lot of other people. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I got a question from the audience, and they said, how do you know if a person is your mate from God? And we've had this conversation before, so the Robinsons are going to hit this one, and then you guys can hit this also. I always say that, like God speaks to us. We don't always listen, but God give you warning signs. When that person is not the right one, you feel it in your gut. The signs are there. It's up to you to either listen to those signs or ignore them. Not in their case, but in our case, we've been married before. I was married to the wrong person. He was married to the wrong person. And we knew, I was young. I was like Phyllis. I was 16 years old when I got married, but I married the wrong person at that time. And at that time, I really didn't realize that I was married to the wrong person because I was young, dumb, and didn't know no better. But as an adult, we know God is speaking. It's up to us to listen. So my answer to that question is always listen at the signs. God is speaking. You got to open your ears and listen. All we have to do is communicate with God, as we said earlier. It's not a one-sided thing. You have to pray to God, which is talking to God, and then you have to listen. If you don't want to listen, then you're going to do what you want to do anyway. Go ahead, Hodges.
I would like to comment on that. Now, this is coming out in the book. People look at us, they hear about the 44 years, they see the smiles, they see the hugging and the tugging and the kissing and all of that. But there were a point in our life for 6 years, the rocky road. And Byron and I, we literally was sick and tired of each other. We thought the grass was greener on the other side. I tried to pull away. Bam! God pulled me back in. Byron tried to pull away. God pulled him back in. God would not allow us to divorce. God did not allow that. It's coming out in the book. I'm not going to tell you anymore. Buy the book.
Amen.
I want to comment one thing about that.
Go ahead.
I remember those rocky times, and I remember my wife, we'd mentioned and talked about divorce, and I remembered, I said, can't do that because that's not my faith.
Amen.
And I said, that's the way it's going to be with me. There's nothing in a piece of paper that anybody could make me sign that would make me destroy my soul.
Wow.
And I actually told somebody that, and they backed away from me. I'm talking about a law official.
Wow.
And I said, when a person feels committed, and I'm not a white knight. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I learned, and thank God he used those mistakes to mold me into a better person.
Amen.
And don't think that anybody out there cannot be a better person than what you are. You may be at rock bottom. Anything can change overnight. I mean, you can be, next week you can win a lottery ticket and say, look, I'm fixing to give up. Look what I've got, a lottery ticket. Still got my wife whipped my side, and I was broke, and now I'm a millionaire. Anything can happen to you.
Amen.
But the truth thing that can happen to you is I've got to share with you. When you meet the right mate, no matter what kind of problems you have, you don't want anything to happen to her. Even if you're mad at her, you still don't want...
Or him, baby.
Yes. You still don't want that special person to feel any kind of pain because you would rather step in there first.
Wow, and not only that, baby, you mentioned about this lottery ticket. I look at it as the lottery ticket with your health. You can have failing health, and that mate is praying for you.
That's right.
You can have failing health, that mate can be bringing you your meal to your bed. You can have failing health, he has already ran your bath water. So there are so many different things to pull that couple together if they feel like they're going down a rocky road and they're sick and tired or things are better on one side. Don't do it.
That's right.
Amen.
Don't do it.
Amen.
And that was just one of the questions. Has the communication always been good between the two of you? And you just answered that.
Yeah,
So
yes.
that was nothing but God.
You got to get the book, whoever asked that.
Amen. Get the book. Get the book. And it's called I Met a Man.
There was a
Amen.
time that I did not want to talk to my wife. She had made me so angry.
And I stayed in his
Yeah.
face.
I was sitting
I believe
I
that.
was sitting out in front of my house, and I was reading a section of the Bible.
Wow.
I was in Matthew. Let me finish. And a car drove
Let
up.
him talk.
A car drove up, and it was my wife in the car.
Wow.
And I said, "Oh Lord, please help me." And He did. I walked over and I talked to her. I did not want to talk to her. I said, she's here for a reason. I need to find out what's going on. And from that one conversation, we started again.
Wow.
That's all it took.
Wow.
One little step.
God said, "My sheep know my voice, and a stranger
Yes.
he will not follow."
Yes.
That's it.
He orchestrates the steps of the righteous.
Ah.
So whenever that was, way back then.
Way back then.
Thank you, Jesus. It was way back then. So I ended up wherever I was, right there by him. He heard God, and
But thank you guys for sharing that, because we have not encountered that. You know, that period of marriage where we didn't want to talk to each other, anything.
Yeah.
And so we try to have everything on this show, cover every area. We've had people that single and looking to marry later on. But you guys got 44 years and you just expounded on how there was a time you didn't want to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So that blesses the audience to let them know that, hey, it ain't always what it looked like, because so many people stand out and look in. They don't, I always tell people that is they don't see the hard times you have behind closed doors. They don't see them tears you cry. They don't see those arguments you have. They just see the good. They see the glamorous part of marriage. And it's not always like that. Like we shared on the show last week, we talked about when odds are stacked against you. And there was something that happened in my family the weekend before last that just threw me. I'm a healed, delivered, set free woman of God, and I know it. But what happened in there took me to some dark places. Okay. And had my husband not know my history and what happened to me before we got married, he would not have known how to respond to me. He would not have known how to minister to me at that time. His conversation to me was, what do you need me to do? Do you need me to give you space? Do you need me to hug you? Do you need me to cry? What is it that you need? And that's what it's about. When you're married and you know each other, you've studied each other, you know how to just jump in the gap, whatever your spouse is going through. But you can't bail out. What we said, you can't take what we had a show on here one time talk about hidden below the belt. And you know how if we do argue and get in that heated argument, and like you said, once the words are out there, you can't bring them back. So you have to be so mindful not to tear your man down. And men, don't tear your women down. It's about working together.
I just want to say something.
Go ahead, Dave.
Being humble is the key. You humble yourself. You humbled yourself through those times to say, okay, to get to that moment you saw your wife drive up in the car, you didn't want to, but guess what you had to do to get that conversation started? You had to humble. God had to humble you. Let me put it that way. He had
and
to
that's
humble
stronger
you.
than hurting words.
Yes.
Exactly.
So being humble, guys, I'm gonna tell you something. If you want to be a good husband, a good fella that's dating a woman that want to be a good man, humble yourself. Be the best you can to that lady. If you have to open her door, do it. If you have to put her coat on her shoulder, do it. If you have to pull her chair out from her dinner table, do it. Those are the things that sharpen you and make you the type of lover you need to be to your wife. So, Byron, Phyllis, this is what it's all about.
Yes,
iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And when things are getting in the rough times, you know how to sharpen each other. And that's what it's all about, getting this for 44 years of love. This is what the kids, the young generation from 18 to 35 need to hear.
Yeah.
They need to hear that you can love, you can get married, and it's for real. And God anoints that also. Once you get married, you get anointed about the things you want in life. You can pray over your kids. And one other thing I always say to my wife when I'm praying to God, dispatch the angels. See, the angels been in your life for 44 years. There were angels already in place for this night.
Yes.
So to have you on the show is a pleasure, and it is a wonderful thing to have you guys tonight. Truly,
we're excited and we are honored. Just again sitting in front of a loving couple. That's something I want to share. Also, you can't just connect with anybody.
That's
married
good.
couples.
That's good.
You need to be connected with some praying, strong couples. And I think about the Robinsons. Again, our ages are almost like this here. But the great part about it, you can't look at us and tell it.
Amen.
Thank you, Lord. It's a blessing, even though we started out so young, very young. There are so many things that we did that during the turbulence time, God was teaching us, now do it this way. When we first got married, we didn't have marriage counseling. But when we were going through that turbulence time, God said it's time for marriage counseling. And that strengthened our marriage. And I tell anybody, before you get married,
yes, Lord,
you need, it's an urgent cry.
Yes.
Yes, a must
for any couple to get counseling.
Yes, Lord.
And I'm not talking about going to your friends and to your
Amen.
mama and to Juma.
Amen.
Talking about some counseling. I'm
Godly
talking about godly counsel.
Yes.
And it worked for us, and it worked for so many other couples that we know of, and that is something that we do. We minister to couples on a regular basis.
And see,
If I may add one more word, if you can go and find the wedding vows and the part it says for better or for worse, those words there are not just words you throw out in space and forget, because you're going to come to a point in your life you're not going to believe that your spouse could have done something. You all are married. Well, that's part of growing up, and that's part of also growing into the marriage and understanding that you're both going to make mistakes, but you got to have a foundation of Jesus Christ to survive it.
Yes. One of the things, Byron, and I don't mean to cut you off, but one thing that I say to my wife, that I could look at her, and we being married, if something happened to me, I truly in my spirit, soul, and body know this lady would be there 100 for me. And that's how you young people out there start looking. Guys, when you're looking for a wife, make sure when you see her and y'all get to know each other, she will be there with you through the terrible times when for instance, you got paralyzed, God forbid, but she's there. She won't leave you. That's how you got to look at this thing. Just don't get married for the carnality of life, because you have degrees and you have this and you have that, and you get married, and then all of a sudden you start realizing, who are you? Did we fall in love before we got all this? And then after you find out I really don't want you, then you get divorces. That's why Arkansas is number 2 in the nation. That's why the Robinsons ministry of marriage is on its way and going to continue to go from Arkansas around the world. We are not stopping. We're not going back. The devil is a
lie.
Thank you.
And that's one of the things that when Phyllis was talking about counseling, that's one of the things that should be talked about in counseling. But one of the questions when my husband and I were dating, I had just experienced a very close person in my life that had was diagnosed with cancer. And so that's one of the questions I posed before him, and it brought him to tears, because he's like, why would you be talking to me about something so negative like that? Because I was like, I need to know, if I get down, if I got, God forbid, cancer in my body or any type of sickness, because he dealt with a lot of illnesses, a lot of different things. I've had surgeries, and he had to be there for me. those are questions you should have in advance. Don't wait till you get married and it happen. Then you stuck with, okay, are they really going to be there for me, or are they going to bail? So marriage counseling is so a must. It's got to be, because when you sit and you have godly marriage counseling, it covers all those things you might have not thought about. Because like Byron said earlier, if it's a infatuation and all you doing is looking and seeing that person for what they look like, you have not thought about all those things.
Right,
and if it's a blended family such as we were, you have to think about a lot more, because you got to deal with baby mama drama, baby daddy drama. You got to deal with those kids growing up, and you see attributes of that other parent and all of that. You have to cover all of that territory. So marriage counseling is pivotal, a must.
I want to cover part of that territory.
Go ahead.
I'm a person that's had both legs, both ankles crushed, busted neck, right arm, what I would say turning cup busted into, with my biceps tore away.
Wow.
All these years, and I've managed to stay afloat because my wife is still there with me.
But baby, don't tell them everything that's in the book now, baby.
Yeah, okay.
Can't be telling the book. Can't be telling the book.
But that's awesome, though. That's what it's all about. Being there for each other through the tough times, and then, like you say, that is so true. Through the good, or through the bad times or the good times, you got to be there for each other.
And divorce is not an option. Like, literally, I know young people, they bad about that. You know, saying, you know, I'm gonna marry this person, but if we get divorced, if you going in it with the frame of mind divorce, that might not be the person for you.
Come on.
Because right now, you set right then and there, you're setting yourself up. This is me personally. This is Katina. This is not the Bible, and this is not nobody else. But if you won't even take that man's last name, or you're hyphening your name, I feel like you have some reservations. That's just me. Like I said, that's Katina. Because if you're marrying that person, you know, more than likely, unless you're like a doctor or something that keeps you, that you're famous, something that keeps you from not taking that person's last name. If you're marrying that person, what is it that you don't want to take their last name? You go into it with the wrong frame of mind. So yeah, that was just, you know, that's an extra.
That was a nugget. That was so like a golden nugget my wife wanted to give. I love her.
It is the truth. So I know we talked a little bit about body language and facial expression. Let's talk about tone of voice. We didn't hit on that a lot. And that's so pivotal, important. Like, I had to learn that. Like, I don't know about you, Phyllis. You know, being 16 when you got married, I don't know about the tone of voice, but that's something I had to really tweak it down. Like, I had to tweak it down, all of that. Yeah, twerk it too, baby. But was that something like you really had to just learn to watch that tone of voice?
That's an awesome question, because my personality, I'm out there. Yeah. The voice is very, very loud. Yes. Whether I'm mad, calm, sad, excited. Y'all know it. But even though, look at my husband's face. You'll tell me about it when we get outside. With that voice projecting up or down, he know my body language, whether it's, this is just Phyllis, or she has an attitude, or she's mad. So there's a difference, and so you really have to be very, very careful with that.
And see, like with my husband, that was one of the things. Like I said, I was married before. I had a troubled childhood and all of that. So my husband literally could not raise his voice at me. Like if he raised his voice at me, it, depending on the mood, it took me one or two ways. It made me go ghetto and be like, oh, I know you didn't just raise your voice at me. Or it made me cry. Why you raise your voice at me? It just depended on the state I was in. But he had to learn, you know, that early in our marriage that he couldn't raise his voice at me because it sent me somewhere I didn't, you know, necessarily want to go if it made me cry or it hurt me. And so that was just one of the things. So that we had to learn, you know, and I'm like you, I talk loud anyway. So he adjusted to that also, is that I talk loud. And a lot of it is because I've been a nurse for 20 years and I had a lot of deaf patients or hard to hear patients. So my voice just projected because of that, not necessarily.
Well, I just want to say it took being humble I mean, to really know the things I knew about my wife, I knew I had to, instead of bringing her down, I wanted to take a journey through her mind. And those scars, all those scars, and I mean, some things have happened to my wife that I know that if you're not a strong man, you say, oh, no, I'd rather go and deal with something else.
Right. You run.
But one thing I did, and guys out there, if you meet a lady that has kids and you fall in love with that mother, fall in love with the whole package. Just don't fall in love with the mother. And we've been a blended family. I took on 3 kids, babies just about. And hey, I embraced it. They are my covenant kids. I embraced their mother, embraced them, just like we are. It was a family. Amen. It was a family. So fall in love with the whole package, not just the mother.
And I wanted to say about body language, dealing with my friends over here, because I've known Phyllis a long while, enough. And Byron has always been just this laid back, this cooler, you know, just like no matter if Phyllis is off the chain, you know, with
you
exercise.
Can tell Byron is from the 70s because he got that laid back cool.
But it just goes back to what she was saying earlier about surrounding yourself with, that's what you want to be, around godly people that you can glean from. Because if you're around different personalities and stuff and you don't like what you're seeing in their marriage, that spirit can latch hold of you. Yes, it can. And you don't want that. So I've always really just enjoyed hanging out with them because, like I said, no matter what, Byron ain't moved. He just mild-mannered and Phyllis is off the chain.
I want to add something to that. I want to add something to that.
Go ahead,
And I actually said this to her one day. She was in her mood. I mean, the house was lifted up. Wait, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish
Let him finish.
The house was lifted up. I was in the kitchen and I said, wait just 1 minute. Just be quiet just a second. Do you hear that?
He did.
And she did. And she said, hear what? I said, don't you hear how quiet it is when you're not talking like that? It's beautiful. And it was so quiet and peaceful. And she walked through the house now and she said, isn't it so peaceful here? I said, because you're quiet.
But listen, y'all, I want to
know her. You gotta love her. It's her personality. Like, she literally wakes up like that, y'all. If you see Phyllis early in the morning or you see her late at night, she is this bubbly personality.
It's in the book.
No, this is from my perspective. I didn't write the book, so I'm
say it like the kids would say that she is lit.
She is lit. She's off the chain.
Yes, but I want to get back to this question that you all did not answer. We moved on, and the question was, what happened during the marriage for the wedding day? How did everybody come about, and how did everybody get along, and how did it work being Caucasian and black?
I want to add this thing to you. I came to Little Rock, Arkansas to go to college. My original family, they did not raise me.
Oh, okay.
I was raised by a Christian woman, and they were Baptist, and they dressed me up in little suits. She had lost her son in Korea, and so they took control of me, and they raised me, and they had a grocery store, and they sent me down here to their son because he lived here, and I was going to go to college, so that's how I started. And when we got married, that is really the only family I had.
Oh, gotcha.
My siblings, my brothers, and all of them, I grew apart from them over my
honey,
whole
tell
life.
Them about your relationship with Dad.
Her dad was actually my dad.
Okay.
Her mother, I'll sum it up what your sister said to me one day. She said, you've been a member of my family longer than my family has. And I said, yes, I have, haven't I? And that's what it grew into being, that was my family.
Yeah, it is so special. I cannot even describe it. But every brother and every sister and everybody, Byron has been a part of the family so long. And Dad, one time during our turbulent time, Dad knew I was doing the wrong thing.
It was your fault.
Ain't nobody say it. Y'all just cut it out for 1 minute. Yes, ma'am, it was. And so Dad,
we just met y'all. We know each other like this, so we can do that. But we know y'all are getting blessed through it all. So share the video.
Go ahead and finish.
That's the run. It's it.
I want to hear this.
That's what friends are doing. Come on with it.
Come on with it.
But Dad loved my husband, his son. So when I was acting ungodly, Dad stood beside Byron, embraced Byron, counseled Byron, and gave me that
Prayed
look.
for Byron.
Prayed for me and was giving me that look. And I had to literally grow up then because Dad wasn't having the no nonsense.
Right.
It was going to be you do it the right way or, scoot over, little girl. This is my son. And I'm so grateful
Amen.
that I did learn from that. It wasn't easy. Woo, if I had to do it all over again. Oh, no, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
But life is good. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful to have my husband. And again, it's rare. It's very rare. It's rare because we don't have a blended family. We have 2 adult children and 3 grands. And we're in love.
Amen.
I want to sum up one thing.
Yeah, sum it up.
We're always in love. I want to sum up one thing. Though,
Okay, we got a few more minutes.
We'll give some people some insight on some things.
Well, look at that. Look at the camera and tell them.
That no matter what happens in your family, some people disagree with your relationship. You have to respect their opinion. I respected my original mother and dad's opinion. Even though they didn't raise me, I still, after they deceased and gone, still call and check on my mother. I still do the things that I am supposed to do as a son, and I still respect their opinion and the way they live their lives.
And I'm so grateful for that because, ladies, the way a man treat his mom, the way a man treat his dad,
that's good, Phyllis.
Baby,
that's
is
good.
close to home. He's going to treat you the same way.
Yes. Right.
So I encourage my husband to call your family.
My mother,
encourage him to do things of that nature.
My mother reached back out to me one time, and it brought tears to my eyes because I didn't expect to hear those words. Now, I have 6 or 7 brothers and maybe 8 that I really don't communicate with because I'm really not part of the family. And I won't get into that right now, but
it's in the book, baby.
I know it's in the book. Okay. But I have, my mother told me one time, she said, "What did I do wrong?" And I said, "What do you mean, Mom?" She said, I gave you away for someone to raise, and you were my child. Well, at that point of time, it was too much for them. You can have so many kids that you don't know what to do, so you're glad to let somebody help you out. And that one person that helped her out took me.
Wow.
And then over the years, it festered in her so much that I had changed. I wasn't the person. And then she realized, she said, "You've turned out better than the ones I've got."
Wow.
That's awesome.
Because of who I was.
But God.
But God.
Yes.
But God.
Oh God, like we share on this show, it's not about where you started, it's about where you finish. And if you don't have God in them, your finish is not going to be more than a conqueror. You have to have God in your life in order to get and walk in purpose. Because what you see before you right now, we're walking in purpose. All of us are walking in purpose.
Babe, I want to say that right now, Byron, look at the camera and tell the young fellas in that age bracket, 18 to 35. I'm going to say that bracket because they are the ones that need help, in my opinion. Talk to them and tell them how to treat a lady in the beginning if they want to find a wife. Just give them some pointers.
You got to be a real person.
And Phyllis, you getting yours next, so get ready.
You got to be the real person, not a showboat, not a person that wants to lavish gifts on a person just to get their attention. You want to be you.
Yes.
No matter what you got. If you don't have but $5 in your pocket,
come on,
and you tell someone that you love them and you'll be with them for the rest of their life,
come on,
and you mean it, and you're not a person that says just to fabricate something because, hey, this is a beautiful sister here. You know, I really like to see her and all that, and then you don't really mean it. You got to mean it from the heart. And when you say those words to a person and you want to see them smile back at you because you blessed them, because they know you really care, you're going to have trials and tribulations that still lingers with you 44 years later.
Come on.
That person is still there with me no matter what we've been through. And all those promises I've made to her, I'm still here, even though I still got $5 in my pocket.
Amen.
You know, that makes a difference when you tell them the truth.
Yes.
And no matter what mistake you make out there in your life, it's better to tell the truth than to run away from it. Because if you can stand up and say the right thing, you can lay your head down at night and you know that you've done the right thing. I'm going to meet a man one day. I met him once before. I thought that I had it all and I was living in a world of sin. I want you to listen to me. And that man said, come go with me. And I didn't know have one clue of what he wanted to talk to me about until he touched me on my arm and said, let's go fishing. And I cast a net out in the ocean. And it was so heavy, he helped me pull it in. And the closer it got to us, the lighter it got. And it was me he pulled on board when we opened up that net, because he had pulled out of the sin out of my body.
Amen.
And I was awakened, and I realized that the only way I can make it through life is through Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And that's a foundation, and you got to remember that. If you don't have it, you can promise everything, and it's not going to be the true thing.
Amen.
You've got to have it.
Amen.
And when you got it, your face lights up.
Amen.
Yeah, it
does.
Yeah,
Amen.
Still a few minutes. You
All
got a
right.
few minutes.
Well, since my husband was preaching and praying over here, what's the question?
Amen. The question.
Just the closing remarks, because
Yes.
we're getting ready to
Talking
wrap
to
it
the
up
young
in just
ladies.
a little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead, baby. You asked the question.
Oh, basically just what would you say to the ladies that are watching, just because of 44 years, and like you said, you started very young at 16 and you guys have made it 44 years. And so what would you say if they were to ask you one word of advice in one sentence, what would you give them?
Keep it light. Today, tomorrow is not promised. Enjoy life to the fullest. God will send you that man.
Come on.
You don't have to go out there and look for him.
Amen.
Continue to pray. When God send you that gentleman, and he will be a gentleman. We're not talking about the bad boy.
Come on.
And if he's a bad boy, he's a bad boy behind the closed doors. Just you and him. Nobody else. In times like that, because children come, you're fussing and you're fighting, and you're thinking about the two of you. But at that time, when children are here, the focus should be on the children. There will be all type of challenges. Pray that God give you the wisdom, the visual sight to be able to see. Humble yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Always acknowledge God being the head of your life. Even though you may be 16, you may be 18. You all have an example tonight. You probably had examples before. I feel like tonight is that time some warning signs is coming before you.
Yes.
Sometimes we hear, but we dismiss it. But tonight, God is saying, deliverance is here.
Amen.
Freedom is here.
Yes.
Love is here.
Yes, indeed.
Embrace. Embrace. You can't do it by yourself when you're in a marriage. Quit thinking it's 50-50. That's not so.
Nope.
It's 100 and 100.
Yes.
Young ladies, young men, learn to pray for your mate because things will come up. You get mad, you get angry, that confused spirit. A lot of things happen. But when you acknowledge God, when you obey God, things are going to be right for you.
Amen.
So I'm just grateful that you all gave us time to come into your home. Because again, like my hubby said, we're not perfect, but we're in love.
Amen.
We're not perfect. We do make mistakes. And we just try to do the very, very best we can. And I thank you all for having us on your show.
Thank y'all for being here. And what you said, you know, you're not perfect. Marriage is not perfection. It's progressing.
Come on.
So long as you're not standing still and you're moving forward, that's your aim.
Amen.
So it's none of our marriage is perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. But let's be progressing.
Yes.
So we thank you so much. We thank our guests,
Yes,
Mr. Byron and
yes.
Miss Phyllis Hodges, for coming and dropping some nugget,
golden
knowledge,
nuggets at that.
nugget, all of it. 44 years, y'all. You know, 44 years is absolutely amazing. So we're glad that they took the time out of their busy schedules to come and hang out with us. We thank you guys for tuning in. You have been tuned in to Bone to Bone, Marriage of the Heart. Good night.
Good night. Wait.